Now you can prove all of this to yourself. In fact, the musical mathematics, the science, the hard, cold mathematical equations of this in the Book of 528. Among the latest discoveries in the world of organic chemistry are the fullerenes, named after R. Buckminster Fuller, the pioneering engineer and humanitarian who designed the geodesic domes. Fullerenes demonstrate perfectly 5 to 8 dependent sacred geometry, as 5 to 8 Hz frequency of sound and 5 to 8 nanometers of light lies, as I mentioned, at the heart of creation. This is vividly displayed throughout nature and the biological kingdom, beginning at the level of the macromolecules and organic chemistry. The structure of circles, as I said, squares, triangles, pyramids, tetrahedrons that Bucky Fuller made most famous, along with the dome-shaped hexagonal arrays and pentagons, as seen here, combine into organic fullerenes. Fullerenes consist of these hexagonal and pentagonal rings, forming an icosahedral closed cage structure. Each carbon atom is bonded to 3 others. The C60 molecule has 2 bond lengths. The 6-6 ring bonds can be considered double bonds and are shorter than the 6-5 bonds. C60 is not superaromatic, as it tends to avoid double bonds in the pentagonal rings, resulting in poor electron delocalization. As a result, C60 behaves like an electron-deficient alkene and reacts readily with electron-rich species. This chemistry and sacred geometry reflects this musical mathematics and fundamentally biophysics, that is, the physics of biology, and you'll learn more about this in Level 3 training. But this is how it is that these structures are musically, mathematically combined or coordinated based on these bonds that share the energetics and the vibrational dynamics of the individual elements. That is, the electrons from one atom to another, or one element bonded to another, is all about sound frequency vibration as well as magnetism. In theory, an infinite number of fullerenes can exist. It is interesting to me and other 528 researchers that the first discovered fullerene was this C60 molecule, when 528 Hz frequency is actually called the miracle 6 note of the original solfeggio musical scale, helping to explain how nature manifests miraculously, musically, mathematically, reflecting this sacred geometry, just like the grass does, and as I mentioned, chlorophyll's biochemistry. Remember, all of this happens because of electrons, sharing electrons, the energy conductor of the universe, between carbon atoms and polarized electrodynamics sourcing from the vibration of musical mathematics. You would never believe that despite electrons being far, far smaller than positively charged protons and neutrally charged neutrons in atoms, what you actually witness in this world of reality, the world of nature and universal construction, are exclusively electrons that are not even confirmed physical matter. These particle waves cannot be localized to one region of an atom, but spin in clouds orbiting the larger atomic particles. Then there are even smaller subatomic particles, like neutrinos and quarks, that give off energy, including scalar energy, used by medical intuitives and dowsers for diagnosis and helping people heal through bioenergetic therapies, including sound and light technologies, like Royal Raymond Rife developed with his Rife machines. All in all, this knowledge is central to natural healing and natural healing products and equipment. It also helps to explain how natural healing occurs electrochemically, and miraculous healing as well as DNA repair can even proceed according to the same physics and electrodynamics explaining the structure of fullerenes. Now let's look at the components of cells and their electrical properties. Cells are the building blocks of tissues composed of a nucleus, chromosomes including DNA, a nuclear membrane, a nucleolus, and cytoplasm and its components. These include centrioles for cell division organelle, chloroplasts in mostly plants and chlorophyll, cytoskeleton materials like microtubules, endoplasmic reticulum, that is a tubular network that's for protein synthesis, Golgi apparatus for protein packaging, the mitochondria involving genetic machinery and DNA production, ribosomes for protein manufacturing, and vacuoles for water as well as digestive and storage mechanisms. The surface of cells, that is the cell wall, is an elastic protective layer, and plasma membranes contain proteins and are gates for transport of various chemical components as well as for water. Discovered very recently, there are unique structures within the cell membranes that are essential for hydrating cells, bringing water and nutrients into cells, and excreting wastes that are called aquapores. Aquapores facilitate rapid, highly selective water transport, thus allowing the cell to regulate its volume and internal osmotic pressure according to hydrostatic and/or osmotic pressure differences across the cell membranes. The physiological importance of the aquaporin in humans is perhaps most obvious in the kidney, where 150 to 200 liters of water are needed to be reabsorbed from the urine every single day. Now let's move on and give you a little bit more background on anatomy and physiology. There is a general fallacy in anatomy and physiology that, quote, form follows function, end quote, or that form exclusively follows the function for which the form is intended. In other words, the structure of the body follows the physical mechanical function that it serves. But this is now largely disproven by cymatic science that proves that form follows frequency vibrations, probably as much if not more than function. This is akin to Christian Science that argues that the Holy Spirit does all the healing and can restore physical structures like DNA and normalize functions in the body miraculously following prayer. Therefore, cells of various tissues are uniquely designed to function optimally for whatever purpose they were designed, based on this combination of biospiritual and biophysiological forces. For example, nerve cells contain axons and dendrites, lengthy projections that help transmit electrochemically impulses or messages along their networks. Now let me share a little more about the power of sound and frequency vibrations on the physical manifestations of biology. Cymatics is the scientific study of sound's effects on matter, or the manifestation of matter from acoustic energy. This is consistent with the book of Genesis, as it details creation sourcing from sound or word vibrations. That is, spoken words are sounds. Sounds are vibrational frequencies. That's simply math. So cymatics measures, in essence, the musical mathematics of creation as it manifests in physical form. What's important is that form follows holy spiritual energetics, equally as importantly as function. Clearly, exercise is, however, necessary in maintaining health. Use it or lose it, so to speak, theory is correct. The form of a muscle certainly follows its function and usage. But in the broader scope of creation, electromagnetics, polarity, photon resonance, and electrogenetics are vitally important and should never be overlooked. Bioacoustics, or phonon effects, particularly with 528 Hz frequency, is extremely important as well. Cymatics, as shown here, imitating even cell reproduction, mitosis, cytokinesis, and other cell division impacts, is shown here in this demonstration of iron filings being moved to shape a cell dividing from the force of sound. Ultimately, ongoing creation and restoration is happening, therefore, vibrationally, most specifically, hydrosonically. That is, the transmission of sound waves through water dictates structural design at every level, from the microscopic realm of DNA to the spiraling, spinning geometry of the cosmos. All of this depends on sound, musical mathematics, fundamental to the laws of physics. Especially 528 Hz frequency dynamics, that is believed to prompt DNA repair naturally, is simply explained from the force of sound cymatically impacting the restructuring of the genome. Now let's move on to cell growth and reproduction. Physical growth and cell reproduction is regulated electrogenetically, especially, as we've been mentioning now, biosonically. That is, the growth and development of cells, along with reproductive cycles, is governed much like the control over planets is governed by gravity, or energy generated cosmically. There is this musical mathematical matrix of creation that legitimizes the laws of physics and cell structures, functions, growth, and reproduction based on cymatic science. Tiny packets of sound, called phonons, and tiny packets of light, called photons, transmit messages within and between cells. Genetic expression is similarly regulated. Here you can see, for example, the growth cycle of cells graphed and the basic stages of cell growth. The growth cycle of cells consists of the gap 0 and gap 1 stages, limited by cell size and genetics. There is also an S phase and a gap 2 phase involved in cell reproduction through mitosis. Reproduction and mitosis involves the following stages: interphase, that's approximately 90% of the process; mitosis, that is, all of the non-reproductive cell functions and parts occur during mitosis; meiosis involves the reproduction of the cells through prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, metaphase, anaphase. And then the final stage, cytokinesis, that implies the movement of the mature cells energetically. Now let's move on to talk about tissues, a combination of cells. The tissues of the body include the epithelial tissues of the skin, mucous membranes, and the lining of your internal organs like the lung and intestine. Muscles, nerves, and connective tissues that hold the body together, like the loose proteinaceous connective tissues between your muscles and connecting your bones to your muscles. Then there's the bones and cartilage. And then blood, too, is considered a tissue. Your skin is the primary defense mechanism against infectious diseases. Your body covering is also called the integumentary system. This includes the skin, hair, and nails. Hair and nails are made up mostly of protein called keratin. Hair follicles are associated with sebaceous glands that secrete enzymes that break down germs for added protection. Also, sweat glands help detox your body through your skin. Your skin is considered your largest organ.